You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Okay, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. Tonight we have David Griffin, and we're discussing his past lives. He says on other planets, and even here on this planet. Is that correct? You've had yeah. So, all right.
Yeah, I've been on and off here for quite a while.
Oh, so you switch back and forth then?
Correct.
Well, then you're not a prisoner. You get to leave.
Yeah, not exactly. Yeah, no, my well, they wanted me to be, but I'm not exactly. Yeah, as a matter of fact, after I got removed from the intelligence service back in 1768, they fully intended that I would just be an earther and be a prisoner here, but they didn't. Let's just say they underestimated me. So
I speculated some time ago, and I don't know, it just was one of those weird thoughts that came to my head, and I says, what if, it was another one of those what ifs. I love what ifs. I said, what if HARP is actually being used to put some kind of energy force field around the planet to keep our us from leaving?
Yeah, what if?
Yeah.
What if there's a bunch of satellites out there doing the same thing?
Yeah. See, you know, and you know, if we could think of it, they could probably do it.
Yeah. Well, like I say, this has been for quite a while. It's been a prison planet, and that's the really big secret that they've been trying to keep, and that's why the whole extraterrestrial situation is being kept secret as well, because these guys have been complicit in it. Many of them. I don't want to paint everybody out there with a big broad brush, because it's not everybody, but some of them have most definitely been a part of this operation of basically keeping billions and billions of beings enslaved lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And that's a pretty horrendous crime that they're going to, one of these days, they're going to have to confront and take responsibility for.
See, and I was always under the impression, you know, when people would ask me, well, why do you think that they're keeping the UFO activity such a cover-up? And I always figured it was because of the technology, because if they came out and said, yeah, they're real, then people right away would say, okay, then the next question is, how are they powering those crafts?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Oh, did you see, I don't know if you saw it or not, Bob Lazar just did another interview just very recently.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
After 25 years, he was interviewed on by some news crew, I think. I just saw that the other morning.
Oh, I'll have to look into that. Fascinating.
Yeah, just throw that out as an aside. But yeah, keeping the technology suppressed, sure, that's part of it also. There's, matter of fact, there's an article that I wrote, probably a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago now, something like that. It's, I've got quite a few articles I've been writing and publishing over the past 3 years, getting a big body of data up there for people, so people can just go and read and see what the heck's going on around here. Okay, it's called The Spiritual Side of the UFO Phenomenon, and in that particular article, let's see, when did I publish that? January of 2011. That's where I get into some of the various reasons why all of this has been, the extraterrestrial thing is being kept secret. Because there's lots of different reasons why, and one of them, of course, is just the one you brought up, is control of technology, control of knowledge. There's also the whole spiritual side of things, because then it disrupts a whole bunch of beliefs and social institutions and all sorts of things. But ultimately, what's driving it is you've got guys that are above the planetary level, up at the sector level, and they've got a great big nasty secret that they've been trying to keep. See, they don't want people to know what they've been doing for the past, who knows how many years that they've been doing this. Well, I'll tell you what, this will sound a little odd to some people, but that facility on Mars that I was telling you about, I first found out about that particular facility when I was investigating. This was back when I was up, I was a part of an intelligence group back up at the galactic level. This was about 75 million years ago, actually. And so I was investigating something that was going on at that time, and that's when they were actually building that facility on Mars. So that's how long ago that thing was built.
Wow, that's quite a while ago. I have a friend who's been on this show before, Gary Legier, and he talks about these other faces that are on Mars, and
right.
Yeah, and he's been very he's voiced himself pretty well that he wants to get that information out there, and he showed me some pretty interesting pictures. I've seen photos of pyramids on Mars and the faces, and then it looks like there's animal type figures carved out of rock. Maybe they're fossils, I don't know, but interesting stuff.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I recall reading about Gary's story and his interaction with Richard Hoagland quite a few years ago, actually. So, yeah, and I just saw it again fairly recently.
So now, the human race, did we start on this planet or did we start somewhere else?
Well, I guess that depends on whether you're talking about bodies or whether you're talking about beings.
I guess I'd be more talking about the body.
Okay.
Because you went pretty far back there, so 12,
I'm sorry, what was that?
12 some odd million years ago you were talking. I mean, that's
75.
75 million. Yeah, well, that's quite a long time ago.
What we're looking at here is we're looking at two different lines. There's a genetic line, which has to do with the evolution of bodies, and then there's a spiritual line. So you've got this genetic line that was sort of developing, and that's what Darwin was studying, this evolution of species and the evolution of the genetic line and all that. But, so you've got an entirely separate spiritual line. Like, for example, me, I pop over to other planets and from time to time. So I might go and live a lifetime in one genetic line, and then I might leave there and go merge with a different genetic line and live a lifetime there, and you can do that.
So then would we be able to, people who can control out-of-body experiences, I mean, would we be able to leave that body then and travel like that and not come back if we don't want?
Yeah, if you can exteriorize from your body and sever your connections with that body, you can.
Donna asked in the chat, not to just keep jumping all over the place here, but she asked in the chat what you consider a lifetime.
well, I guess that would be interiorizing into a body and staying with it until it's dead.
Okay. I can't
or
argue
until
that.
I'm done with it. Decide to leave, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So that I wanted to throw that out to you before it got out of my view.
Yeah. So, last lifetime I had a different body and I had a different identity, different name and all that. And so that body's now dead, and now I'm interiorized into this one. So this is a new lifetime, and so this particular lifetime will be over when I sever my connections with this body and go off and do something else.
So if you're able to remember these past lives, you're able to also remember the names you had and things like that? And I'm wondering if you're able to, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to be funny here, but like hit ancestry.com or something like that.
Well, like I say, last lifetime I was involved in military intelligence, specifically in the UFO field, and I'm pretty sure that my service record and so forth was sanitized because of what I was involved with. But you will find, I have on my website, I've sort of divided up my articles into various sections, and in section 6 is where I've got most of my UFO related articles. And in one of those articles, I discuss an ammo box that I buried last lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah, but it has already been picked up and removed from the planet. Somebody else has it. So if it was picked up, who I think it was picked up by, and it's been kept safe, then some of my records should still be preserved. Some of my original records.
Yeah, it's too bad if we knew, it'd be nice to, like right now, if I could go outside and leave myself some kind of time capsule and be able to in the next life come and find it. But I don't know if that'd be possible. Probably not, right? I mean,
well, I suppose if you didn't go through the Between Lives facility and you retained your memories and so forth, I don't see why you couldn't. But then again, if you didn't go through the Between Lives facility, then all of that would sort of be a moot point because you would already know that you are an immortal spiritual being.
True. Yeah,
and you wouldn't need the proof anymore, would you?
Yeah, very true. Now, are all ETs that you know of anyways, are they all spiritual beings? Or I've had the religious groups, some of the radical religious groups will say they're demons, and others say that the Greys are robots. And I'm just wondering, are they all spiritual or?
Well, anything which is alive is being either has or shares a spiritual being. You could have, for example, if you've ever seen a flock of birds that seem to sort of move as one, well, you could have a single being that's controlling a whole flock of birds, or a whole colony of bacteria or something like that. There's something there, some sort of spiritual element that is the life force. But getting back to the ETs, a body is just that. It doesn't really matter whether it was born here on this planet or whether it was born on another planet. It's just a body. So the important thing really is the driver on the inside of the car. It's the being on the inside of the body. That's the important thing. So you've got good people and bad people everywhere. So, just because somebody was born on a different planet does not necessarily make them evil or make them good. And not necessarily enlightened either.
Well, did you ever have a past life on a planet that no longer exists for one reason or another?
Well,
that you know of?
Well, yeah, because universes don't actually last that long, and I've lived in other universes before this one. So, but that's getting outside of most people's reality. You mean like something blown up, like in Star Wars or something like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll be more specific. People talk about a Planet X type event here with Earth.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, have you experienced something like that in one of your past lives?
Not that I recall yet, but um, not too long ago, I actually just began recalling where I was at the end of Atlantis. And so, like I say, this is a very gradual process. It comes, little bits and pieces, and it takes a lot of work. So I'm still progressing. I'm still recovering, and I've still got a long ways to go. So I can I can speculate, but I would prefer to stick with what I know to be fact. But anyway, not too long ago, I was recovering. It's kind of funny. When I was a kid, I was always fascinated with Atlantis. I always had a very, very strong fascination with it. And I actually spent several years studying, all about it, read all the books I could find, and was poring over world maps and, got into ancient Egypt and all sorts of different things. And then not too terribly long ago, some of that finally started surfacing, and I knew that what had happened there right at the end is that a whole bunch of people had been basically abandoned and left behind. Some people were evacuating, but some people were left behind, and this was just starting to surface, and I knew this, and I felt the charge surfacing on this. And then not too long ago, some more memories finally started surfacing, and I recalled that at that time I was a pilot, and I was flying one of the transport ships. Sorry,
So were you down thinking about it?
no, it's just emotion, grief.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can understand that. I would have to imagine I'd have a lot of emotions with those types of experiences as well. So you were actually in what we would call now maybe a mothership?
No, it was more of a transport ship. Boy, I've got a bunch of heat coming off my body right now too. Discharging charge right now. I was, I think, a captain, one of these transport vessels, and I'm pretty sure I was at that time in the Pleiades system, somewhere in the Pleiades group. And I got in trouble then too, because I did not want to.
Well, that's all right. Catch your thoughts for a moment, and let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back.
I'm okay.
You sure?
Unless you need to take a break.
Well, no. I was actually going to give you a chance to.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm used to this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just that I've just started uncovering this area, so. There's still a lot of charge sitting there.
Oh, I bet. Now imagine what you would probably go through if you had a hypnosis type regression. Now, I don't know what to think about those, although it seems like, if you get a real good hypnotist and he's not giving you suggestions, I would think that, you might be able to find out some stuff you didn't know.
Well, I personally, I don't use any hypnosis at all, and I don't. And some people don't like me saying this, but I don't recommend it either. The reason being that hypnosis has been one of the key elements of implanting. Implanting is basically that's the process by which a person's memory gets wiped out, false ideas, false viewpoints are implanted, false desires and compulsions, all sorts of different things. Hypnosis is one of the key things, along with drugs, quite often electroshocking, pain, all sorts of different things. So, because hypnosis and drugs are key components of those, that's why I tend to steer people away from both of those.
I see. So now for yourself, I got to ask these questions
Yeah.
because it's just, I know people, listeners are going to want to know. So how can you be sure that these were past lives and not,
Not
maybe,
implanted.
yeah, maybe implanted or yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good question. Um, it's very interesting until you've actually begun. See, I've had a lot of experience with these now. I've been running out these past implanting incidents now for many years. The thing you always find when you start going into one of these is the very first thing that comes up is the false implanted memories. The false stuff that was implanted. That's the very first thing that shows up. And so when you first start going in there, things seem a certain way. But as you continue and as you begin discharging, you'll see that things began shifting, and all of a sudden that reality sort of disappears and goes away, and then something else comes in. And then it's like, that's what it is. And then, more charge releases and so forth. The only thing that will release all of this bottled up charge that's sort of stored there is the truth. And once you get on top of the truth, the charge starts flowing, just like these grief emotions that were just surfacing a minute ago. It's because I was sitting right there on top of this thing, and there's still a whole bunch of charge there that I haven't released yet. So it was starting to come right to the surface, and it's like, whoa, here it comes. Yeah. So that's what usually happens when you're first going into one of these implanting incidents. Is it starts out looking a certain way, but then as you release the charge, it starts morphing and changing, and then that reality just sort of disappears and it's gone, and then that's when the truth finally starts coming into view.
Mm-hmm. I see. Oh,
Help a
yeah.
little?
Oh, it sure does. It sure
Okay.
does. So I guess now I'd have to ask is how do you cope with it? How do you deal with knowing what you know?
Well, actually, the truth in itself needs no coping. I mean, it's actually quite a relief. I can't tell you what a relief it is to finally uncover the truth and release all that charge. I mean, it's just an incredible feeling. So it doesn't require coping. The coping is trying to keep all this stuff bottled up. That's where all the coping comes in.
Yeah. Well, and you're in luck because nowadays, it's easier to get out and talk about these things, and you're still gonna have your hecklers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does, but for the most part, you go back maybe 30 years ago and you came out and said something like this, and you'd be
Right.
the laughing stock of the town.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I still get a bit of that from time to time, but it's kind of interesting. My level of certainty has come up to the point now where it's like, this stuff doesn't even faze me, and I can, in many cases, I can just look right at that, that thing and find the key point to hit on and just sort of blow their false argument right out of the water. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that stuff doesn't really bother me too much anymore.
Okay, and so now, what message do you hope to get out there to everybody by coming out and telling these stories? I mean, there's got to be some sort of mission. Like, do you want
Yeah.
people
Oh,
to
yeah.
know that who they are and what they are? Or,
That's part of it, yes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. This is part of a very long-term mission that I've been on for actually about the past 80 billion years, through two different universes now. And but this is all part of a very long. And I'm not on this mission alone. There's other people that I'm working with on this also. Some of that's covered in more detail in the book. But basically, what I'm doing right here and right now, is I'm part of a group that wants to end this planet being a prison planet. We want to change that and see this become a free planet.
I see. Now, who's trying to keep it secret more? Is it human beings or is it ETs?
Both.
Both.
There's a large number of people in both of those groups who are trying to keep this a secret because they're a part of it. You know, they've got a great big nasty crime to keep hidden.
I see, but now are all the ETs involved in this? Because I wonder what if they really want to be secret. Mm-hmm. How come they show up? I mean, again, we could go either way on this. If they really
there's different groups.
Yeah,
there's different groups. And you'll find a lot more information on my website about some of this information too. There's lots of different groups out there. Actually, there's a bit of a coalition force that's in our system right now too. But essentially, what you're still looking at, though, is you're still looking at the enslavers. Those are the ones who want to maintain the status quo and keep everybody here in ignorance and in darkness and keep all of this big, nasty secret hidden. And then there's others who want to put an end to that and want to go about a process of spiritual recovery and rehabilitation for all the beings here. So that's the group I'm a part of.
Okay. All right. Well, and I was getting at, I guess, is like I've had five or six now UFO sightings. A few of them have been incredible. And I wonder if they really want to be hidden. What's up with things like the Phoenix Lights? I mean, it seemed like some ET was trying to send the message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, you're looking at different. There's different factions, and there's also a whole bunch of different groups, and they're on the one hand they're all right. Well, the enslavers are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, also because the point we're at right now, technologically, is we're right on the verge of becoming a spacefaring civilization again. Well, by space, I mean like interstellar travel. This culture right now is right on the verge of that. So it's just a matter of time before this becomes public knowledge. So there has to be a sort of acclimation period. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to do it while still maintaining the big secret, or just kind of sweep it under the rug and hope nobody notices and nobody ever talks about it.
See, now I kind of see this culture on the verge of blowing itself up.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah. There's that too. Yeah, that's thanks to your local neighborhood enslavers. Yes.
Yeah. So and I've had guests on the show and even callers who insist that ET is just waiting to come save us, and I'm thinking, well, Fukushima's happened, and I could go on. Many other things have happened, and Fukushima's pretty serious. So if you really want to save us, now's a good time.
Well, actually, about 10 years ago would have been a good time, huh?
Yeah, it absolutely would have. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm to be perfectly honest with you, I've been getting pretty pissed off the past few years. Like, what the hell are you guys waiting for? Let's go already.
Yeah, well, and even humanity. I mean, and we keep building these darn nuclear power plants.
Yeah, I know.
And earthquakes happen all the time, and they build these things on fault lines. They build them near the oceans, and they're catastrophes waiting to happen.
They are, yeah. I mean, it's an incredibly destructive technology. It's just, I've got several articles up on my site about that whole topic too. So yeah, I know. That's just another indicator that ethics are out at the higher levels. They're out up there at the sector and the galactic level, and that's they're sort of things have been building to a head for a while now, because some people have been trying to maintain the status quo, which of course, this culture, as you pointed out, it's on a toboggan ride to hell right now. It's just a matter of time before something incredibly destructive on a planetary scale happens. And of course, that is actually a part of the enslavers' plans too. You're probably familiar with the murals inside of the Denver airport.
Oh, I am. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I spent a couple of days there back in, I think it was 2002. Spent a couple of days walking all through there, looking at everything, taking photographs. Yeah, so that's a part of the game plan right there, is this massive destruction, and that's where the Georgia Guidestones come in. You know, they want to wipe out, you know, what is it, 90% of the population or something. So that's part of their game plan.
And I've kind of thought that too. When you look at something like Fukushima, it's almost like, yeah, we've got the technology to clean it up, but we're going to wait until most of you die, and then we'll clean it up, you know?
Yeah, we're going to just devastate the marine environment and, yeah, just completely pollute the planet. And, yeah, but we'll give you little light shows in the sky at night.
Well, you know, they think that they're gods, and I'm sure that they, somewhere in this planet, they've probably got their own little Noah's Ark with, you know, DNA for every species and, you know, all that good stuff. And I'm sure they think they have it all figured out.
Well, again, I don't want to paint everybody up there with a broad brush, because that would be inaccurate too. But there are some that are being a part of the problem, and then there are some that are not. And there's a bit of a, from what I gather, things are not just challenging down here for us. That you know, the guys that are on the Free Beings team are probably having their hands full with challenges up there at the higher levels too. So I'm doing what I can down here at this level to sort of educate people as what the real situation is, what the game plan is, and you know, they're doing their part from up there, and hopefully together we can exert enough pressure from both ends to cause some changes to occur.
And since you've been putting your message out, and I'm sure you've been around for a while going on shows and things, so what is the overall response that you find you're getting from the majority of people and even colleagues?
Colleagues, I don't really have any real colleagues. I've been sort of operating solo for quite a while. The reaction I get from the public is mixed. You know, for a lot of people, a lot of this information is too far outside of their comfort zone and reality level, and they just sort of reject it and so forth. But I've been seeing a lot more people recently that are going, wow, thank you for doing this. Thank you for putting out this information. And I'm starting to see a little bit of a groundswell now where the word is finally starting to filter out. And then, of course, simultaneously, I'm getting hit, you know, because there's people that are very unhappy with what I'm doing. So I'm constantly under attack and getting hit from various vectors. So I'm having to fight that off and push back at the same time. So it's been quite a struggle, actually, to get this information out. Okay. Even though I've been doing this for a number of years.
Yeah. Now I've got a couple questions from the chat. Starts out with, I mean no disrespect. So here we go. Okay. I mean no disrespect, but I have to ask, do you really in your heart believe what you're saying tonight? Because you did mention that it was past life. So basically, I guess what he's saying is, you know, certainly it's proven to you. You know it happened. You know what you're talking about. And to somebody else, they're like, well, you know, I could believe it or not believe it because, you know, there's no absolute evidence of it. So I guess, and the question is, do you really believe it? And I think you do, right?
Well, that comes back to, I think we had sort of broached that at the very beginning of the show, where I was talking about the difference between believing something and knowing something. And so I would have to say, do I believe it? No, I know it. So for me, there's no question because I remember it. It's just like, you know, you remember you had a cup of coffee this morning, so did I. You know, there's no belief. I don't believe that I had a cup of coffee. I know it. You know, I remember it.
Well, that answers the second question too, because then he said why. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why. Okay. And I fully understand that for most people they don't remember, and I completely understand that. I know that. I mean, before 1992, I didn't have any past life memories. I had some gut feelings at that time. at that time, I believed that I had been around before. See, back then it was a belief. I believed that I had been around before, and I believed that I had lifetimes before this one, but at that time I had no memory of it. But once the memories began surfacing, then it's like, belief is not even an issue. It's like I know it because I remember it. And once you've had that experience for yourself, it completely shifts your whole viewpoint and your whole reality.
Yeah. Okay. I imagine it would. It would. Hang on for a moment, David. We are going to take that short break now, and then we'll come back and you and I will finish up. So hang on, everybody. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera with David Griffin. And again, his website is linked up on the homepage of latenightinthemidlands.com. So feel free to go on over and check out the information. We'll be right back. All right, folks, last segment here. We're just about done. Our guest, David Griffin. So last chance, if you've got questions or comments, you could do it either by calling in 803-317-2264, or you can do as you've been doing and private message me in the chat room, and I will ask your question. But try to do it over on latenightinthemidlands.com because I really don't too much follow two chat rooms. It's just too much. But I do have the website up on one of the monitors, and I can see it. So that's the place to do it. All right. So David, we've got a little bit more time here.
Okay.
And what would you like to share that maybe we haven't touched on yet? What would you like to get out there?
Boy. That's a good question.
Have I missed anything?
We've covered a fair amount. I guess, maybe one thing I'll just throw out my website so people can find it.
Sure.
It's Upward Vector Publishing, and the domain is upwardvectorpubs.com, and you'll find a whole slew of information there. Got the... There's a short introduction section, which I recommend if you're a first-time visitor. Just start from the homepage and go through the introduction section. And then there's a bit of data about the book. There's a synopsis about the book. And then after that, there's a whole section of articles that contain a ton of data. And then those are all grouped into various categories. And I've laid them out in sort of a gradient progression. So you can take them, start with section 1 and go on through, and of course different people will want to look at different things. There's a whole group of there's section 3 deals with counterintelligence, some of the basic techniques and tactics that counterintelligence uses for keeping the truth hidden, because that's basically who I run up against all the time. The purpose, since I'm an intelligence officer, the purpose of intelligence is to uncover the truth and make it known. Well, the purpose of counterintelligence then is to do just the opposite, to keep the truth hidden. So that is, anytime you're trying to expose the truth, that's exactly who you run right into, is counterintelligence. Because they're the ones who are tasked with keeping that hidden. So I've got a whole section of articles related to counterintelligence there. There's section 4 that's the war for the mind of man, that gets into psychotronics and some of that type of stuff. Do you ever cover any of that?
As a matter of fact, we do. We get into just about everything here. Anything that matters, I should say. Yeah,
okay. So I've got some stuff there. Section 5, I've got a whole bunch of articles on chemtrails and weather manipulation, radiation, that sort of thing.
I would rather not get into chemtrails, but I have no choice because they're polluting my sky every day here.
Yeah, you and me both. Boy, just the other day they were spraying really heavily around here, and I noticed right after that the psychotronics were very, very heavy. So I think in some cases they're bouncing signals off of this stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. And let's see, section 6 is most of my UFO articles. And then I've also got a couple of sections that aren't readily visible, but there is more data there for those who want more. I'll just put it that way. So, and there's also a number of articles that aren't readily visible, but if you follow some of the internal links that are in some of the pages, you'll find more. So at some point I found that I had too much data up there. It was like a bit too much for most people to confront, so I had to really pare it down. And so most of the data is still there, but it's just not visible at first. It's only visible if you go looking for it.
Yeah, my website used to be like that many moons ago. I had way too much going on it, and it's just, you know, I spent half the day telling people where to find stuff. So
yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, very, very interesting story, and certainly your personal experiences. And wow. So I'm going to have to get over to your website. I'm going to check out more information, and hopefully in the near future we could get you back and talk some more about this.
Sure, yeah, and I'm sure that after you've had a chance to look through it, you may come up with some very specific things that you wanted to cover also.
Okay, and I do have one question, and I'll ask this every now and then because we have a listener who kind of obsessed with Bigfoot. So, Bigfoot, do you think that's connected to the whole ET phenomena?
To be honest with you, I have not really investigated that myself. So I've heard just like a lot of other people, I've heard a lot of things about that, but I would prefer not to say anything on that simply because I myself don't have any personal experience there, and I haven't done any personal investigation there. So,
okay. So you know past lives as a Wookiee or nothing like that?
No. Maybe one is a werewolf, but other than that, no.
All right. Well, David, I thank you very much, and I do appreciate you taking the time out to be with us, and especially on such short notice. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's been my pleasure, and thanks very much, Michael.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure as well. And anytime, just send me an email. We'll
do.
Schedule you back. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night.